when we reach a state of balance, we know it. We are more energetic, we have calmer mind, we're more efficient, we sleep better, we don't feel that we're pushing ourselves. Let's talk about qi, because I think qi is a concept that you heard a lot, but nobody really give their idea, and that's what I always want to share. So I think qi is the vitality. It's a force that support our vitality, our vital function, and our body is actually connected. It's a connected system through qi. But what is qi? I guess we can just simply define it as the vitality of vital force, or in the general sense, in the conventional medicine, that the neurotransmitter, the chemical that we make in our brain, our hormone, the sensation, the flow of the lymph, they can all be grouped into qi. And qi is actually, it reflects not just internally, it also reflects or nourished by the external environment. That external, because the qi is everywhere. It's in the nature, in our body, outside our body, in the plant, in the animal. And because if we start to see our body as a city, we have all this meridian, and what's flowing in the meridian is qi. And that qi, if you think about the city, we need a traffic light to operate, so that the pedestrian and the car can move freely. And that's what qi is, that changing the red light changing to green light changing to yellow, that action is dominated by qi. That force of all these things in order, cars on the road, pedestrian on the sidewalk, they are dominated by qi. However, it's not an isolated system. So it's not isolated because it's affected by the environment. So the qi from outside, from the nature, like the change of season, we call it the seasonal qi, it can affect whatever we have as in our body, that protect us, which we call it protective qi. And if the protective qi is not strong enough, the seasonal qi can turn into pathogen, and we call it pathogenic qi in Chinese medicine, and affect us or attack our protective qi. And also remember that all the body needs nourishment. So there's nutritive qi that can come from food, that can come from water, and from resting. And those qi that is protective and nourishing, they work together. And also they work together with the seasonal qi or external qi. But however, we have to know that these qi needs to be constantly nourished. And those nourishment, it comes from good food, enough resting, not too much stress, and enough exercise. Not too much though. Everything has to be in balance, because balance is actually the most important concept in Chinese medicine. And I think that's why I want to share it, because a lot of people, especially modern days, it's always more. But in Chinese medicine, more doesn't mean it's better. Balance is the key. Balance is the most essential idea in Chinese medicine. And a lot of time people would, like my patient or people that would ask me, is that, how do you know it's balance? So when we reach a state of balance, we know it. We are more energetic, we have calmer mind, we're more efficient, we sleep better, we don't feel that we're pushing ourselves. In modern society, we like to push ourselves. And I think that's why a lot of the illness, it become chronic. Because in Chinese medicine, when we reach a balanced state, we don't get sick easily. We have more of the abundance in life. That's what I call it. And that's why, that's one of the life-changing concept, I would say, in Chinese medicine. And also observing the rhythm of the nature, and observing and have that connected with the rhythm of our body is also very important. We know that circadian rhythm, right? We also know the hunger satiety rhythm. So these rhythms actually synchronize with the nature. However, we forget about it because we live in a very artificial world, that we have AC, we have a heater, we have refrigerator. We don't spend that much time in observing or even to feed ourselves. We have Uber Eat, for example, so that we don't have to, understand like, okay, there's hunger, there's satiety, there's fatigue, there's sleep, because everything is much more artificially regulated, or including heat or cold. So a lot of time when the weather change, especially right now when we're facing global warming, when the weather change, we feel it as a shock, because a lot of time that's because inside of us, that chi, that protective nutritive chi or righteous chi, it's depleted so much, because we feel that, well, if I don't sleep better, I'm gonna catch up, or I'll take something to help me to sleep. If I'm hungry, I will eat something that has a lot of calorie, instead of, let's eat it a balanced meal. Let's eat it at the right time, at the set time. So that's why a lot of time when I think, one of my 2 cents is that if we want to be healthy, we need to observe. Be an observer of your body and nature, and then live with the rhythm of ourselves. Find the rhythm, because a lot of people don't even know their rhythm. Like for example, that some of my clients, my patient, they are female, they are women, and they don't even know their cycle. They don't know how they feel, how they should feel, as the cycle change. So that's a perfect example of not knowing your rhythm, or you don't even know when you feel tired. You just go to bed at a sporadic time, and it's not set. Our body like rhythm, nature like rhythm. So when these 2 rhythms synchronize, they will help us to optimize our health. With the intermittent fasting, I really like it. Personally, I practice it myself. However, it's not that rigid, because a lot of time when we talk about a diet, when it gets trended, it's like one size fits all. In Chinese medicine, one size fits all is never a good approach. Why? Because we have our constitution, the body type or the energy type that we're born with, that we inherit from our parents. And also we inherit from the nature, the state of nature at the time when we were born. So in Chinese medicine, we consider that. So a lot of times, like I said, Chinese medicine has yin and yang, deficient and excess. So when you're deficient and then you want to have more energy, maybe intermittent fasting, you need to do a little bit more modification. Maybe you can eat breakfast instead of skipping it. And then make a little change in your dinner, but shorten the time of fasting. Like for instance, for me, I feel that 14 hours of fasting, it feels really good. And if I don't eat anything after 14 hours, I start to lose my focus. Is it bad for me? Is intermittent fasting bad for me? I don't think so. However, I do need to do a little modification. And sometimes when I do a little bit more workout, and I would like to eat some food that is more nourishing, which can include grains, which can include lean protein. Sometimes if I feel that my energy is just too low, or I tend to feel cold easily, I'll probably eat a little bit of higher calorie food. Of course, not the sugar, but more of the red meat, so to kind of boost my energy so that I can use it. So in Chinese medicine, it starts with observing yourself and the nature. So if it's cold outside, is it a good idea to drink ice water? Of course not, because in Chinese medicine, it's going to cool you down even more, and that causes more deficiency. If it's hot outside, is it a good idea to drink hot tea all the time? Maybe not, because that might increase more of the internal heat. So a lot of time, knowing yourself and the rhythm, follow the change of the nature is very, very important. Yes, you might ask that, okay, now it's global warming, so should we eat everything cool? Not necessarily, because this is a time that there's a lot of transition and change. And however, we're going to see that also that kind of transition or change or pathogenic change in our body as well. So in this time, actually, it's better to eat something that can calm us down, that can nourish us, but not to a point that will heat us up. So for instance, there are things like in Chinese medicine, we look at things in different tastes. We look at things like we look at food and categorize them in different tastes. And taste means that it can be more heat, more cold, lukewarm, or just in the middle, just very balanced. And so right now you can eat probably things that is more cooling but nourishing. And when it's winter, you probably want to eat something that is more warming. So, like for instance, what is cooling? Smoothie, like green smoothie, as good as it is for somebody that has more cold in constitution, then it might not be a good idea. Or you can modify it with a little bit of ginger or cayenne pepper, cinnamon, then they make it not as cool. So in Chinese medicine, when we modify or when we apply that in our lifestyle, we can utilize the idea of what is the taste, what does that taste tell us, and then even the taste, it goes into different channel and nourish or affect different organs. And I think that's my 2 cents on life-changing knowledge of Chinese medicine. You have to start from knowing yourself. Do you feel more cold in the winter, or even in summer you still feel cold? Do you have more thirst? Like you just feel thirstier than other people? Or like for instance, for women, we can observe our cycle. Do we have a lot of pain before the cycle, headache before the cycle? Or we feel just like having hot flashes all the time before, during, or after the cycle? So in Chinese medicine, the heat, if you have a lot of heat, that probably means that you have a lot of heat internally. So adding things that is too nourishing might not be a good idea. So we want something that is more bland taste to counteract or to change the state of the body. So that's why I never like to advocate something that is one size fits all. And I understand that from research perspective that we come to a conclusion that this will help certain condition, certain diet can help certain condition. But I feel that in China, and that's the beauty of Chinese medicine, it's looking at the individual, find what the individual needs, and then first we observe and find the individual needs, and then modify either from the lifestyle, the environment, or even acupoints, or even food. I think the most important thing is that just because it's so trendy, popular right now, doesn't mean that it's good for you. And that's something that I would like to advocate. If you like this video, please subscribe and follow me, and I'll see you soon.